Hi, my name is Holly Metchers, and I am going to present on bridging the gap to the future, or commonly referred to as the digital divide. We live in a fast-moving world that is constantly flooding us with information. It is not only fast, but more complex than ever before. Some of the biggest challenges our country will face will be in the years to come, due to how we as a society deal with information and how to keep up with the ever-changing technology. I find it interesting that the youth today treat this all as normal. They are so accustomed to technology and its advances. As the older generation interacts with technology, it is not as easy. Many of us are afraid of change or intimidated of all the advances in areas we are not familiar or trained in. Success depends on our willingness to understand and our motivation to bridge the digital divide.
I want to talk about the digital divide. It is important to define the term. What is it exactly? It is the gap between those who have access to digital technologies and those who do not. Or it might be explained as the gap between those who use digital technology and those who do not understand it. The research I have done has brought me to the conclusion that most of the general public is unaware of the significant problem that our country faces. Many are being left behind, even with the greatest of efforts of our government nationally and locally. With the beginning of the World Wide Web, we saw a huge gap between the haves and the have-not. This was also the case if we think back to the invention of electricity, the telephone, radio, television, and even VCRs. I want to talk a little bit about digital inequality because the two terms go hand in hand. Digital inequality is a refined understanding of the digital divide that emphasizes inequality across the population depending on differences along several dimensions of technology access and use. Digital inequality is a much broader range of a discussion. It looks more at the differences in gender, age, ethnicity, demographics, annual income, and education. There are some ways to attempt to correct digital inequality that we now face. A good start is to look at education and the understanding of how to use and implement technology into daily curriculum to improve our way of life. Another is for companies to try to keep the cost of equipment and internet services to an affordable level for all economic classes. One that I haven't put much thought to but is interesting to mention is recycling of used equipment and then sold at a discounted price. Lastly, and one of the most important, is training for those individuals on how to use technology to be part of their daily life. It is exciting to say that technology is in most schools in the U.S. Public schools have done a great job in providing computers and internet access to their students. While in school, the student has access regardless of their gender, ethnicity, disability, or social status, but the minute school is over for the day, this changes for many of our students. Many go home where there is no computer or internet service. What do we do as a society then? It is true that technology is becoming more accessible, but the sad truth is that even if people had the technology, there is the issue of how to use it and maintain it. I talked earlier about some ideas to correct digital inequalities, and I want to mention providing socioeconomic communities access to technology. As I mentioned before, even if they have the technology, it can only be useful to the individual if that person has the appropriate skills to use it effectively and purposefully to meet their individual needs. The critical element is to educate and have training programs to reduce some of the issues in the future. A lot is being done to help bridge the digital divide and inequalities. Political measures have been made in an attempt to lessen the digital divide. In 2009, Congresswoman Doris Matsu introduced the Broadband Affordability Act, which calls for the U.S. Federal Communications Commission to install programs that allow low-income citizens to gain access to more affordable internet service. One of the main challenges in overcoming the digital divide is that there is not enough funding to solve the problem. The first task is to take an inventory of the available funds and to make an effort to track the resources. Another attempt is that more businesses are making locations that have free access to Wi-Fi. While this is a great idea, it still leaves out those who may not own a laptop or a phone with internet capabilities. Wi-Fi then is pointless and will only assist a small portion of the population. As the study suggests, the problem isn't access, it's the kind of access. Families, particularly minority families, are lacking in home broadband access. Just recently, Comcast launched Internet Essentials, a low-cost internet service for families receiving free school lunches that is available wherever Comcast provides service. In addition, communities need to ensure that libraries stay open. Schools can even provide their labs to stay open longer in the evenings, and organizations need to plan their communication strategies around the population served. States also need to invest in broadband infrastructure to bring broadband services to rural households. Companies like Comcast could provide mobile labs that could visit communities. People need to be aware of the digital divide. Many have said the wealthy will continue to use their skills and technology to advance themselves or their business, while the underprivileged will continue to fall behind. I think it is interesting to note that technology is not the cause of the digital divide. Rather, it is humans who are ignoring an entire population of people. Sadly, the haves and have-nots are not going away anytime soon, but as long as we understand what the divide looks like and how it evolves and changes, we can better address the underlying causes and provide resources for all populations, regardless of their ethnicity, geography, socioeconomic status. We need to do what we can as a community, as a population, as a country to end the digital divide. It can only help us and strengthen us. Thank you.